Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. It is a very rainy day here today, so I am nice and cozy at home, and I thought I would record a little video. I've been watching Modern Family with my husband, and I've watched Modern Family a lot of times before, but there's this one episode where Phil says that he forgets how amazing Claire is after she builds this baseball field with Cam. And he says something along the lines of, I think when you're married to someone extraordinary, you're with them all the time, so you forget how extraordinary they are and they just become normal. And it got me thinking, and today I was having a conversation with someone that kind of brought it all back up for me. And I think we forget that we are extraordinary because we are with ourselves all the time. And I'm sure there's some people out there who are very aware of how amazing they are, maybe to a fault, and are maybe very confident. But I think in general, it's safe to say that we underestimate ourselves a lot. I think it's so easy for us to forget about all our achievements, all the different victories or successes or goals that we've accomplished. All those things kind of melt together into our life and we forget about all of them. And I definitely did. And that's why when I was having this conversation with this person, they were talking about different life experiences or different life events or degrees, things like that. We were just talking back and forth about different things that people experience. And they were asking me about my own personal experiences and taking a step back and zooming out from my life to really think about every little thing that happened, because I wasn't saying all of it, but it was all kind of flashing before my eyes as I was explaining different life events. It really gives you a different perspective of everything you've experienced in your life. I think that similar to Phil and Claire and how he was like, well, I married someone so extraordinary and it all becomes normal and I forget, and how the close proximity is what he's talking about that causes him to forget how amazing she is. But we are the closest thing we have to ourselves in terms of proximity. There is no one closer. Imagine how easy it is for you to forget how extraordinary you are. And it's important to talk about it. And through this episode, I really want to encourage you to try this exercise. Sit down with a piece of paper or maybe the notes app on your phone and write down everything that occurred in the last 10 years. That could be anything from small achievements, goals that you've accomplished, or big things, big life events, and all the bad stuff. And the reason I want to include the quote unquote bad stuff is I think it's very easy for us to forget everything that we've overcome. Because at the end of the day, no matter what negative thing happened in your life, if you've gone through it, even if it's not gracefully, even if it's not quote unquote perfectly or the way that you would have if you look back on it, you still got through whatever experience that was, whatever life event that was, and you still are more resilient for it today. And I think going back and recounting all the different experiences that we've had that are quote unquote positive or negative, it's important that we can see a little timeline of holy shit, we have been through a lot. And I think this exercise can help in creating a much clearer reflection of everything you've gone through and give yourself more compassion and a little bit more props and kudos of like, wow, you did that thing. Yeah, you survived that thing. Or yeah, you achieved that goal. And even the things maybe you didn't achieve, maybe you set out to do something and life got in the way, or you got in your own way, or circumstances changed the situation and you weren't able to get to where you thought you would like to be. What did you learn from that? Was there anything that came out of that? And at the very, very least, you learned something about yourself in the process. And I think having that perspective shift on all the different events that we go through, because life has thrown a lot our way. I'm pretty sure I could probably just make this exercise, instead of it being 10 years, I could probably say 5 years. And collectively, every single person writing things down will have a laundry list of things that they've survived and processed and gone through and just endured, because life as a global scale has thrown a lot of shit our way. So I think it's important to include all of that stuff, maybe even the things that are harder to think about, and include that in the whole picture of the achievements, accomplishments, all these highs of our life. Because there's a quote that is so old about, if there were no highs and lows in life, if you look at a heartbeat on a scanner, if there's no highs and lows, you're just dead. It's just one straight line and nothing's going on. And it's kind of cheesy, but I love it. I love that quote. That quote actually came into my life at a really hard time where I really needed to see it. And I was like, that's so true. If it wasn't for the lows in our life, we wouldn't be able to appreciate the highs. And if it wasn't for the highs, we wouldn't know what it feels like to be low. We would just be in the middle, apathetic, and just being like, okay. And I can almost guarantee that if I look at a list that anyone who's listening is writing down for themselves, there's a lot of things missing. There's a lot of good that you've done, changes you've made to your own life, to your environment, whatever that might be. I bet you there's things in there that you're forgetting about too. So I think that this exercise is just a good little thing to do to remind yourself that you are living those highs and lows and you are pushing through them and things are okay in the end. And this exercise is just a great way to see out on paper in front of you, you can get through it. And it might be difficult, it might be hard, or it might be really, really good and fun, depending on which thing you're looking at. But in the end, you're still living life, you're still doing the thing, you're still getting through it, and you are here today. And especially if you're going through a hard time right now, I hope that this exercise can help you see that there are high moments and there are really low moments, and you might even be in the lowest moment of your entire life, but no matter what, eventually it will go up and it will climb. That low moment might seem like it's lasting forever. It might seem like it's never ending, but eventually we persevere. We can move past things. We are resilient as human beings. And if you put the effort into it, you can come out the other end a lot stronger. And I think that this exercise in particular is just one of my favorite things to do as a self-reflection tool, but also as just a check-in point of how am I doing? How's my life going? And showing yourself that compassion in the process of where did I think I was 5 years ago? Where did I think I was going to end up? And it's not about judgment. It's not about comparison. It's just about a check-in with yourself on how things are going. How are you feeling? Are you seeing growth within yourself? Are you seeing changes being made? Are you finding yourself to be more resilient than before? And at the very least, I know that this exercise will help in you understanding that you can get through things. So it means whatever you're going through right now, you'll be able to get through it. That's the hope anyway. For me, this exercise really showed me that I grew a lot as a person in the last handful of years. I've seen changes in myself that I really didn't think I would see ever. And I've seen healing in myself that I also didn't think was possible. And I see a lot more self-compassion in who I was 5 years ago. When I look back on the hard times that I was going through, I have a much more self-compassionate lens on how I perceive myself and how I dealt with things back then. Maybe I wasn't as graceful as I would have liked to be. Maybe I made some mistakes. Maybe there were some choices made that were not optimal for me. But at the end of the day, I know I did the best I could with the information I had, with the resources I had, and the support that I had. And some things are just out of my control, and not everything is something that I could have made any different in the time being. So this exercise of looking back and seeing how far I've come and seeing how bad it used to be, but doing it in a lens where I'm being more compassionate and kind of wrapping myself in this metaphorical hug while looking back has just been such a healing experience and healing exercise for me personally, because I spent a long time blaming myself for some things that have happened to me. And I spent a long time being really angry at the things that occurred and the different life events I've endured. And the anger is fine. It's okay to feel angry at certain things. That is a part of the process. You have to kind of feel the emotions, feel the anger, feel the sadness, and accept what happened, that kind of thing. There's a very big spectrum on how the feelings and emotions will impact you. And that was just my process. I got angry. There was resentment there. I also got really depressed, really down on myself, a lot of guilt, a lot of self-doubt. My own trust in myself had gone. There was a lot going on with me that ultimately in the end I put on myself because I wanted to be in control of the situation that I was not in control of. And now looking back at 3 years ago me and think about everything that I had to go through back then, I have a much more clear understanding of, okay, you did the best thing you could at the time being. You would do things differently now, and there's different things that was out of your control, and there's other things that were in your control, but that's okay. We live and we learn. At the end of the day, we grew. And that is the biggest point of relief for me, was that acceptance of growth, and also acceptance of like, yeah, that was a really shitty thing that went down. Like, that was not cool. That was not fair. That was not ideal, whatever that might be. And just go, but it is what it is. It happened and you survived. And at the end of the day, that's it. Sometimes we just have to survive and move forward and grow. And I do believe that all those different life experiences, all the ups and the downs, really made who I am now as a person. And I'm just so much more comfortable with who I am now, and also more comfortable sitting in discomfort. And that is the biggest thing. I think the biggest takeaway for me is being uncomfortable, being wrong, being okay with being wrong, taking risks, making choices based on my gut, and trusting my gut again was all things I gained out of those experiences. So ultimately, I am grateful for them. But I hope you try it out. Take a second out of your day to just jot down all the highs and lows, all the accomplishments, all the goals that you've achieved, and all the difficult experiences that you've endured and survived through, and give yourself a pat on the back. You deserve it. You deserve acknowledgement from yourself, from nobody else, just from yourself. It's most important coming from you, to say, that was a lot of shit. 5 years, a lot can happen in 5 years. Even more can happen in 10 years. And just give yourself that credit that you deserve, and let yourself believe it when you give yourself that credit too. And if you have any questions or any clarifications or anything, or even a comment about your own experiences on this topic, I would love to hear from you in the comments. And yeah, that is it from me today. If you're joining me in the morning, I hope you have a wonderful day. If you're joining me in the evening, I hope you have a restful night of sleep.